For over 50 years, the Student National Medical Association has been at the forefront advocating for the needs and concerns of minority medical students while serving the underserved communities. The mission of the SNMA is to support current and future underrepresented minority medical students, to address the needs of the underserved community, and to increase the number of clinically excellent, culturally competent, and socially conscious physicians. SNMA chapters based at allopathic and osteopathic medical schools throughout the nation and some colleges implement our programs and activities locally. SNMA programs are designed to serve the health needs of underserved communities and communities of color. In addition, SNMA is dedicated both to ensuring that medical education and services are culturally sensitive to the needs of diverse populations and to increasing the number of African American, Latino, and other students of color entering and completing medical school. The Student National Medical Association was founded in 1964 as the student section of the National Medical Association, largely through the effort and support of W. Montague Cobb, MD, an NMA member who spearheaded the initiative to include medical students in the association's ranks, and a courageous young medical student, Alice Gulati.
What I did after they told us, okay, we want you to give your money so that you all will be a part of the SAMA. And I told the dean, I said, sir, we are not going to do anything like that. They don't even let our men, our doctors, period, below Cincinnati, be a part of anything. And so why are we going to spend our money paying to be a student American Medical Association when half of the people that we are a part of us with the degrees, just as are those of the people with whom you discuss things having to do with medicine. No, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to have a Student National Medical Association of our own, and the money to be put in will be put in that for us. He said, well, I don't know, you're being, I said, sir, I'm not being the least bit disrespectful to you. I am expressing that about which we have spoken and talked among each other, and everybody is in agreement with me. Well, I don't know what else, sir. I'm not going to be disrespectful to you or anything, but we are going to have a student. Well, what you have to do is to go and ask the NMA if they'll let you have it. Yeah, I said, I don't have any problem with that. I talked to Dr. Cobb. He had been very, important with all of that, and he said, don't worry, you'll go. And so Bill Brown and Glenda Manley and I caught the train, and we went up to New York to meet with the members of the board of the National Medical Association and present the idea to them. They agreed 100%.
By 1970, SNMA began to consider becoming an independent organization. Medical students wanted to set a programmatic agenda, legislate and govern funds, and determine administrative priorities, which were understandably different from those of the parent organization, whose focus was more aligned to the interests and concerns of practicing medical professionals.
So we set out to how we're going to get these medical schools to form an SNMA chapter nationally and be able to communicate and support an organization with no money. So we went to NMA and asked them, would they be willing to give us some startup money to try to nationalize the SNMA? Well, they said, well, they felt that we were social and that we just wanted to party. So after many meetings with the House of Delegates and almost begging them to treat supporters, they gave us some seed money of $10,000.
On October 4th, 1971, the SNMA became an independent corporation, having formed its original constitution and bylaws and filing for IRS 501c3 nonprofit status. SNMA Inc. was born. Early achievements included the publication of the association's first signature publication, The Black Bag, and the introduction of regular regional conventions. Affirmative action legislation was in place everywhere, with increased minority enrollments rising at schools throughout the country and on most medical school campuses. SNMA's network grew steadily.
And most of the Black Bag were had substance of their clinical endeavors, research studies that they were doing at schools, or they would publish those. And it became a very popular publication in the fact that even some of the postgraduates had access to it to publish into the journal. We had advisors, Dr. Cobb, who was a publisher of the National Medical Association journal, gave us advice on how to do it, and we got quite a bit of help from that. But yes, that was our first publication. We had a newsletter that went out monthly. We also we published a clinical, a Merck manual type clinical booklet that we gave to all the medical students on clinical entities that were significant to African Americans that they may not find in the regular textbooks. And we had the help of the Howard faculty to help us put that together, the pathology department and so forth, those issues that were peculiar to African Americans. And we gave this little booklet out. They were quite active, and we had a lot of publications during those years.
Throughout the 1980s, as SNMA continued to build, new chapters were added and current ones were strengthened. SNMA members at the local level focused on getting the word out, promoting the themes of mutual support for medical students of color, and advocating for the transformation of medical teaching to include cultural sensitivity training in the instruction received by all students. In the mid to late 80s, SNMA leadership began to bring stronger focus to its community service efforts, fulfilling the organization's mission not only to nurture and support the academic enrichment of its medical student members, but also to serve communities in a very real and proactive way.
I founded MAPS as Region 2 Director in 1989, and it got fully implemented on the national level in 1991. I believe MAPS was always the embodiment of the mission of the SNMA, and once it was implemented, it has continued to be the symbol for what SNMA is at its core, the preeminent entity responsible for recruitment, retention, and graduation of minority medical students.
The role of the SNMA in the next 50 years is to challenge the status quo, to continue to push the envelope and ask the questions that need to be asked. Whether it's the Affordable Care Act and how is that affecting minority populations, whether it's creating leaders who are going to make a difference in government and in healthcare, whether it's creating culturally competent and socially conscious physicians who are going to take care of the generations that are coming after us. Its role is to continue to cultivate and encourage students as they move through their medical careers, and to be that support system, to be their home in a world that can sometimes be challenging.
I see the role of SNMA expanding within the next 50 years. I envision it being a much larger organization that fulfills all of its goals of supporting underrepresented minority students.
One of the core features of this organization and what sets us apart from many other student organizations is our interest in not just programming, but effective programming, and programming that affects change in our communities. So specifically, we move toward our mission of speaking to the pipeline in medicine, and then also speaking to the health status of underserved communities, and most of the time, and a lot of times, that's communities of color. So when we speak about the pipeline, we talk about our programs, whether it's high school students, elementary school students, all the way through college, through our YSEP HPrep programs, our MAPS protocol, our PMed protocol, and looking at how can we increase the number of physicians of color who enter and complete medical school. Well, we can't do that if we don't start from the beginning, which is elementary. And so our chapters and students over the years have been able to reach out to elementary schools, high schools, and form partnerships and lasting partnerships that work to introduce students at a young age to the possibility of becoming physicians and becoming a member of the health workforce, which we think is so important. And that is the only way that we can effectively increase the number of underrepresented minority students.
As the nature of the organization has grown and evolved, so have the roles for its national headquarters staff evolved and transformed and become broader or different. I still feel that I have a strong leadership position here, and I continue to do the thing that I like most, which is the meeting planning, and I continue to work with the annual medical education conference.
And I think that without the support of people who have come through SNMA, it won't last. We need them. We need you to give back. And like for us right now, like I'm going to be a fourth year student. I would have to stay involved in the SMA to keep it going so that we can make it to 100 years and 150 years. Like without the support of these physicians who came through and the people who actually, founded the organization, we wouldn't have made it to 50 years. So, I mean, Dr. Galati still loves SNMA. She was a founder. That was 50 years ago. So, and the reason that the SNMA exists is still needed. So we can't just not give back to it.
So in the next 50 years, I can see the SNMA, just seeing how much has grown in the first 50 years is monumental to me. And the next 50 years, if we can have that same level of growth, I feel like we could be a giant, like easily recognized and great nationally or even internationally.
I think the significance comes with the very founding of the organization. When you talk about a group of students, Alice Galati, Vernon Smith, Gilbert Parks, a number of students, while just students, saw a need to come together and really see that they could actually solve some of the issues and concerns of the communities around them, while yet as students, and train themselves to become those future physicians that would still answer the needs and concerns of the underrepresented community. I think that was powerful. And being on that precipice of the 50th coming up, again, it would not be fair. We would not do justice to this organization if we did not celebrate it, recognize it for its greatness, and then continue to push our members to continue that legacy and the mission of the organization.
Transition to new and creative program strategies takes time, requiring the diligence and persistence of SNMA members, leaders, and staff, as departures from past business practices are imminent. What remains constant is the mission and policy governance by and for the medical students. This is the SNMA.